Hey guys, Veronica here. So I just wanted to say very quickly, thank you so much for joining me on this channel. If you're a subscriber, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're not, I hope that you poke around and stick around and learn with the rest of us. So when I started this channel about 2 years ago, I had no idea what it would grow into. I've just been over the moon to be able to reach and help so many different gardeners around the world and across the United States do better and try new techniques and new methods in their own practices and get similar results to what I've experienced. And that's just, it's really, really cool. So I'm glad you guys are here with me. Now I've been in the garden that I'm sitting in for about the last 2 years. It's at a friend's farm in Central Coast, California. And I had noticed in the last couple of months or so that I was feeling pulled towards just exploring the methodologies I was playing with a little more deeply. And in order for me to do that, I realized that I needed to be at a place that fully embraced that, and also that that I would be able to stay at for a longer period of time, say 5 or 10 years, to see how my work plays out over that stretch of time. And I wasn't sure that that was going to be the case here. So I did a little searching over the last few months. That's kind of why I've been MIA on YouTube. And I finally decided to settle on a small farm in North Texas. It just so happens to be at my dad's house. And I really like the idea of helping guide that space into a more regenerative setting. Now, you're going to probably hear over the next few months what with, talk of Green New Deal and sustainability, you may hear the word regenerative agriculture pop up. And so what I want to do moving forward with this channel with you guys is dig deeper into the regenerative agriculture mindset. Like, what does that mean when we talk about regenerative agriculture? And so a lot of the experiments and just like growing observations that I had been doing in this space with these hugelkultur beds, with the fungi and the Stroparia mushrooms, with a lot of the perennial herbs and plants, is how does this all connect together in this landscape? How do we move towards farming and gardening methodology that's not just how it's been done, by the larger scale? We're all working, for the most part, on a much smaller scale. And whether you have 500 square feet in a backyard, or a couple of pots on your windowsill or on your balcony, or 1,000 square foot garden, or 5 acres as I'm moving to, you can apply these same principles on all the scales. I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at here. So so that's what's happening. I'm very excited about it. I love the results that I've gotten from all the little experiments that I've been able to do at my time here in Central Coast in California. I'm looking forward to both encountering the problems that a lot of you guys encounter with larger amounts of rainfall, moving to Texas, as well as having a little more space and a little more woodland to play with. So I'm going to break down kind of the space that I'm moving into, just to give you a taste of what's in store, moving over the next couple of days into the next week. And so I'm going to basically hit the ground running when we get there. So there's 3 primary spaces in this space in Texas. They all blend together. It's something that you're going to find in a lot of wilderness areas, which is why I thought that it was ideal for this next phase of our journey. And so there's a forest space. It's a lot of dense trees. It's probably the majority of the land. Lots of post oak, lots of briar, lots of just mixed stuff. So there's a little bit of cottonwood and willow and some mixed pines or other conifers, a little bit of cedar. Like it's a forest. And that butts into a pond area with different land formations that kind of jetty out into it. And there's hills and valleys, though not the extremes that I have here. It's lots of good riparian wet zone, so we have kind of that flooding and falling that you'd get in the rainy season in those pond areas. So we're going to be manipulating that, the way that the water floods into that, as well as what we're able to grow in those embankment areas. So if you are living in a space that has forest area or has, water and wetlands area, how are we going to work with that rather than against it, as far as supporting healthy ecosystems? There's a field space that's probably in the neighborhood of an acre. I don't think we've measured it. It's somewhere between half an acre and an acre. It's currently just like open fields. That's where my dad has been growing a few crops the last few years. Our base layer of all the soil there is clay. So if you're dealing with lots of heavy clay in your area, you're dealing with hot and cold temperatures, high wind, hail, like we're going to be getting just inundated with all of the problems that you guys would normally face over a growing season, and hopefully I can help you find ways to work through that. Also moving into putting in tree crops in that space as well as our field crops, and seeing if we can't develop some level of symbiosis there. I have some nitrogen fixing trees I want to play with, and so yeah, that'll be the field space, and a good way to address someone who has, whether it's a raised bed or whatever, like these are mechanisms we can put in place to make that a more regenerative, more sustainable solution. Of course, I'm going to keep doing all of like the greenhouse stuff that I've been doing. So if you're just here for, the potted plant culture, pruning and, disease control and whatever else, like we're still going to be covering all of that. But I'm really looking forward to working in and with an ecosystem and getting to know it better so that I can help you develop more regenerative approaches to your gardening and farming. One of the biggest questions I get asked all the time is, what do you do about insects or disease? What do I spray? How do I fertilize? Like, how much nitrogen? I'm not the person to ask those questions, because I am trying to work towards a more proactive and less reactive mindset. And I think that if you're attacking a problem after it's happening, it's a little too late to fully approach that problem and effectively solve it. Whereas if you're preparing for the best health of your soil, the best health of your plants, the best health of your ecosystem, all of those problems that you normally experience in gardening take care of themselves. And so, like in this space, I don't get powdery mildew. I like to think that it's because there's other fungus that is good fungus, and oftentimes edible fungus, that's kind of inundating the soil and overrunning anything else that would generally attack those plants. And so there's little levers I'll be exploring. I don't know that necessarily all of them are like able to be proven at this point. We're going to try and dig deeper into the science behind soil, behind the systems at play that are getting your plants the nutrients they need and helping you grow much more resilient plants in the garden. This space hasn't been tended to in a while, as you can tell. There's some perennials behind me that are doing all right, and so we're just going to go deeper there. Like that's all there is to it. I don't have a major roadmap at this point. I do think that this is the direction that we as a species need to go in order to continue existing. It's part of our evolution is to go back to the land and figure out how to work with it, how to communicate with it, and how to better understand it in order for it to continue supporting us. So I do hope that you join me on this adventure. Like I said, I'm very excited. If you are excited too, hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, you can follow me on Instagram. I'll probably be MIA for the next week, but then we're going to hit the ground running. We've got a lot of work to do. I am already behind on spring planting in a lot of people's minds. So I'm really looking forward to this. And until next time, happy gardening.